Stopping the suppression of Black history in education, classroom reform. My agenda. In this research proposal presentation, I will provide additional background about my dissertation topic, including my research problem and purpose statement, explaining the research design selected for my study, as well as my data collection plan, discussing potential ethical issues and remediation strategies for my dissertation. Introduction. Research problem. Researchers recognize that pervasive racism in the dominant culture is reflected in America's educational institutions and pedagogy. For example, 7.8 million African American students, where schools are failing to adequately and holistically incorporate Black history into the social studies and American history curriculum. Also, the exclusion of Black history from the storyline of America's historical narrative is promoting a skewed sense of Black progression, a detriment for non-white students and their communities, neglecting the urgency of educational attainment. Statement. My research will explore the suppression of Black history and the impact of delineating Black historical facts in elementary school classrooms in the New York City metropolitan area, specifically schools in Harlem, New York, and Westchester County, New York. The study's objective is to research the bias and historical dominance of racial fundamentalism and the pedagogical instruction of African American students, and the absolute need to integrate Black historical facts with America's historical legacy and its influence on school classroom levels of thought and composition. The advantages of Black history. By actively being instructed on their cultural history, Black students will gain their integrity in every aspect of educational equality. By their understanding of the Black historical facts and information, knowing their past will most definitely open several doors to their future. Transformation and change. Inspired by historical pride, and most definitely honoring the iconic heroes that helped establish the groundwork for their education and sustainability. Study design and data collection plan. Let's look at the research questions. Through my research, I intend to answer the displayed questions on your screen, which explores both micro and macro factors impacting the extent to which Black history is taught in elementary schools. Most importantly, I am researching the impact of Black history curricula and pedagogy in American scholarship on the development of self-concept and identity of African American students. Challenging educators to successfully focus on Black history lessons, comprehensive knowledge, and sensitivity. Comprehensive research questions are crucial in the study. Questions concerning textbooks and the transmitting Black historical information, providing African American students K through 12th grade with well-documented, recorded, and cataloged literature, which outlines the African American experience that includes its struggles, conquest, and future positioning in society. From the sociological, economic, and political capital, African American students will build on their history of resilience and strength. Research design. My research design, I will study and employ a mixed methods research design theory, and will use a student survey questionnaire to answer the questions of how and why. The study will use quantitative, qualitative approaches, combining inductive and deductive thinking and reasoning. The quantitative study will determine and explore and examine Black history and varied interpretations. The qualitative study will explore the ideals that diminishing Black history is significantly valuable. In the quantitative study, I will look at the various variables, independent and dependent, through visual model, survey, and group samplings, and visual observation, and written questionnaire. Qualitative, I will utilize student interviews as data source, visual observation through mediums such as film, photography, drawings, and paintings to identify research past and present, historical facts, social, cultural, and personal experiences of the African American student. I will continue on my research design by utilizing the action research study, addressing the importance of teaching Black historical information, again, past and present, to align Black students with self-efficacy, self-worth, and self-determination. This will help to create a system that teaches non-group inferiority, and with the help of self-love through historical information, developing for the African American student growth, progress, and progression. My research will assist educational policy leadership in developing curriculum standards and strategy by bravely approaching the suppression of Black history, which delineates literature and scholastic scholarship insight, in understanding Black creativity through the arts and literary text. Research variables. There is a variety of variables that will influence my dissertation research, including school type, whether the school is public or private, school demographic, what is the racial demographic of the student body and teacher staff, teacher training, availability of teacher cultural competency, teacher attitudes, teachers willing to combat inherent bias related to Black history, institutional willingness of the institution and its educational barriers, which include racism that's related to Black history, educational materials, availability and accessibility of instructional materials for Black history, and establishing a healthy dialogue of racial diversity and social practice. Study instruments. My study instrument will utilize the following: student interviews, student questionnaire, visuals, film, photography, drawings, and art, which is part of the qualitative study. My demographic will be 4th and 5th grade African American students from public school locations. My survey population will be 250 African American students. With my student questionnaire, I will pose the following questions to student respondents in an effort to gauge their views on the accessibility and availability of Black historical instruction, as well as their knowledge of basic Black history facts and figures. The questions will be, for example, what grade are you in? And this will be done creatively. Fun facts and figures for fourth grade student demographics. Again, what grade are you in? How would you define Black history? Can you name prominent Black figures, past and present? Do you take a history or social studies class? In your class, did you learn about the transatlantic slave trade, the Civil War, Reconstruction, the Civil Rights Movement? Did your teacher observe Black History Month in February? If so, who do you remember learning about during Black History Month? Do you understand why it is important to learn about Black historical leaders, including Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey, Sojourner Truth, Harriet Tubman, Ida B. Wells, Thurgood Marshall, Bessie Coleman, an aviator, Charles Drew, Langston Hughes, the poet laureate of the Harlem Renaissance? Are you proud to be an African American? And what does that ownership mean to you culturally? Ethical considerations, which is very, very important when you're dealing with minors. Whenever a research study involves participants who are under the age of 18, special consideration must be taken, and I repeat, must be taken to avoid any ethical issues and obtain clearance from the Institutional Review Board, the IRB. Recognizing the risk of research in minors, including their limited autonomy, potential inability to understand research intent, I will take the following steps. Obtaining support from the educational community of the subject group. Buy-in from teachers and principals of the schools participating in the survey. Secure parental guardian permission for child's participation in the research. Ensure survey is age appropriate, using comprehensive language. Clearly indicate that participation is voluntary. Affirm that results are confidential and will not be shared. Decline to provide any compensation for research participants. Black History Month. In conclusion, remember Black History Month, pertinent to understanding America's education facilities, which are comprised of debilitating, disordered classrooms with instructional teachings dictated by theoretical ideas set forth in a pedagogy that has a bitter, historical, antagonist approach when teaching Black history fundamentals. To challenge today's pervasive attack on Black history and Black History Month and its relevance, we must acknowledge and accept multicultural pedagogy for its ability to liberate and promote equality in today's classrooms. Black students, African American students, one and the same, must never, ever forget. Burrell and Welch said it best. Knowledge prevents the worst of the past from occurring again. Black history is powerful. Black history is excellent. Black history must be taught in today's classroom settings. Thank you.